is Fanged Pipsqueak Reads, and I'm here with another review. Sorry that it's been taking so long for like a new video from me. I've been really busy making preparations for the release of my third book, Nocturnal Salvation. So, and then, Easter break came and I deserved a little bit of a break. So I used that just to take it easy and read, a little bit of writing. I might actually drop another video soon, maybe either this week or next, on a little side project that I've been doing like during Easter. So a little bit of that, but I got some reading done finally, and I finished the book, and I'm gonna review it. So I finished finally, even though it's not that long. I finished Kenzie Jennings' Red Station. It's a splatter western. It's number 7 in the splatter western series that Death's Head Press is releasing. But it's actually my first time. This book is my first introduction to splatter westerns. So when I was reading it, I had no idea what it was going to be about or what splatter westerns are typically. So I think this was a good introduction to it. So without going into the details, I'll just read the back of the blurb like I usually do. There's a house overlooking the vast rolling plains, a home station where a traveler will be welcomed with a piping hot meal and a downy bed. It is a refuge for the weary, a beacon for the lost, a place where blood and bones feed the land. For 4 stagecoach passengers, a doctor in search of a missing father and daughter, a newlywed couple on their way to their homestead, and a lady in red with a bag filled with secrets. Their night at Red Station has only just begun. So it has a lot of intrigue in it, and I really enjoyed this book. And I mean, Kenzie doesn't really, shy away from the gore. I mean, she's not supposed to. It's a splatter western. You're supposed to go all gore into this, and she really does. And I just have to, praise the cover. The cover looks so amazing, and it's painted. So don't know if it's cover art is done by Justin T. Coons, and you can find him on Twitter. And he's been doing, I think, the covers for all of the splatter westerns for Death's Head Press, and his work is just amazing. So yes, I have to give praise for the cover art, because I want that cover art. I want that cover art in some of my stories. If I ever venture into splatter westerns, I might. I think that's something that I might try, but adding a little bit of my Icelandic flair to it. But onwards to the review. So right off the bat, you see that it's a novella, so it doesn't have much, but it's centered around this place, this homestead. No, not homestead. This huge, vast house. Where people usually stop on their way on the travels, because at that time they didn't really have that many roads, didn't have, I think at that time they were just starting putting trains there, and so what you usually do as means of traveling was through stagecoach, and that would always usually be a really long travel. And these places, these houses, were kind of, I think, situated at that time in the West, just scattered around the Old West, and people could go there and they could stop there for the night and rest and get some meals and stuff. So it was interesting. And I've seen I read from when I was a kid. I used to read Lucky Luke when I was a kid, and I was kind of introduced a little bit to how this kind of thing was, how this used to be at the time, but it's not really accurate at that time with comics. But what little we had was what we got here in Iceland. So Anyway, apart from that, she goes really into the gore, and she also managed to bring this kind of mystique around two of the characters that we are introduced in the beginning of the story. Like first the Dr. Monty Pickering, I think his name is, and the lady in red whose name is Clyde Northway. I love that her name was Clyde. You know, you don't. It's not a common woman's name, so I was really happy that she got that. That she named that person that with that name, and yeah, so you kind of get this kind of sneaking suspicion that something's off with either both of them or one of them, and without going into spoilers, you are pleasantly surprised when you read on, and well, what I really what their banter back and forth was really enjoyable to read. He wanted to know a little bit more. He was kind of like sneaking into, but Clyde, the lady in red, was like, nope, don't trust you, so you're not getting anything from me. But she kind of still kept him on his toes, because I think she was kind of like, she wasn't described like that, but I kind of got the feeling that she was like, trained into being a little bit of a manipulator. And she kind of used it subtly throughout the story, and I really enjoyed that. The other two passengers, like the newlywed couple, they were also really fun to read. I really loved how she managed to bring forth like their accents and their mannerisms just through the dialogue. It's something that I'm not really accustomed to, but it was really fun to read it, because you just kind of went into their personalities and you're like, whoa, she's sassy. Like the girl's patient. She's like, I really love that. Especially also when she's saying, like, when they're doing their kind of like newlywed bickering, and it's so cute. And then she says to her husband, "You sassing me, husband?" And I could just immediately imagine this kind of southern accent. And my southern accent probably sucks, so I apologize for that. But I really enjoyed it. And then we are introduced, once these four passengers were introduced to the people who own this house here. They are described as the Adlers, and they seem to be of like German descent. And I really, really enjoyed Kenzie putting actual like German phrasings in here, because I studied German when I was in high school, and I can't really speak much of it right now, but I can still read it. And seeing this, and I can still understand what was happening. I was like, yay! Look at that! A small lessons in German. It was real nice. But yeah, like there's like the couple, like the married couple, like Mr. and Mrs. Adler. Like polar opposites. The guy is like this big guy who has a huge beard, and it looks like kind of like a German Santa Claus or something like that, but with auburn hair. And the woman, Mrs. Adler, she's like this really stiff, taut woman, wearing a high-colored dress, and just claiming that she doesn't really know a lot of English, but playing the foreigner card, and you can definitely feel as soon as they come in that something's off, especially when you see the two daughters that they have. One of them is being super flirty and like, wee, I'm gonna flirt with the doctor and be keeping all to myself and stuff. And while the other daughter, she's this, I think it's this one here on the cover, she has like this kind of bad scarring here on her face, and doesn't really say anything, and is just basically kept in the shadows. And then everything goes fine until they go and sit down for a meal. That's when Clyde, the lady in red, this one here, suspects something about the Adlers, and instead of being like really coy about it, she's so direct, like so blunt. She's like, "You're hiding something. This is not your house, is it?" where are the other guests, Mr. Adler? And you're like, holy shit, she went there. And you can really sense the tension at that time. Like everyone was stopped eating and they were like, wait, what? What's happening here? And you're like, okay, shit's about to hit the floor. And it literally almost does that. Like, holy crap. This is gonna be a spoiler. So if you don't want me, if you don't want to go into like listen to what I'm gonna read, like this is a passage from the from directly afterwards in that scene. So if you don't want to listen to that, just rewind or like push forward or something like that. So a stark silence enveloped the room as everyone stared at the once handsome gentleman seated at the end of the table. Monty blinked a few times as if fascinated by what he felt, and he gently touched the top of his head, feeling for the strange weight that was bearing down, the pressure there threatening to burst. The sledgehammer's head had caved in the top of the good doctor's skull, and the brute force of the blow had caused the face of the hammer to be embedded there, as if man and metal had simply become one. The entirety of the top of Monty's head was saturated in gore, his wavy hair a sticky matted nest. Blood streamed down his face, painting it in rust-colored streaks. His mouth moved, attempting to form words, as he stared in Clyde's direction. So yeah, it starts immediately, and I love that. I mean, you've got this kind of, you went through like this much pages of just, introducing the characters, introducing the tension, getting this intrigue forward into the story, and then suddenly, like in the middle of a food, it just everything went down. It reminded me so much of the Hateful Eight by Quentin Tarantino. You get this kind of like ongoing tension, and then once they're into the house, shit goes down. And I just really love that. And it's brutal, it's quick, and you don't really expect what's gonna happen. And also what I really liked was the end. I'm not gonna tell you everything of what happens in the story, but I really enjoyed the ending. I had like a sneaking suspicion, but my suspicion turned out to be wrong actually. So the ending, like the last chapter of the story, threw me off, and I was pleasantly surprised, even though, like I said, I had like a sneaking suspicion about this one character, but my suspicion was like correct, but in what it was not correct. So I was really surprised and delighted to see how that unraveled at the end of the story. So I really enjoyed that. Things what I didn't like, there were not much. I mean this is a short read, and Kenzie goes basically straight to the point, which is really nice. But there was one thing that kind of threw me off a little bit at the beginning. That was with the it was in chapter 3 when she was introducing the shotgun guy. His name was Lee. Good introduction in my opinion, but then it kind of went on like into a flashback, kind of into his past, where he was like, killing a hooker that he had slept with, and she was trying to rob him or something like that. And I don't know, I felt that was kind of unnecessary information, because she managed to describe him pretty well at the beginning, and I just felt like this kind of information was kind of just to pad the pages a little bit, like put in the word count. But other than that, everything was really good. And like I said, I can really, because it reminded me of so much of a Hateful Eight, I can definitely see this being directed by Quentin Tarantino, or just someone who really, really does gore well, and this one, has a lot of it. So yeah, I definitely want to see this on film. I mean, this would be portrayed pretty good, like either as a short film, or she can definitely expand on this, because the Lady in Red was such a great character. Like she was like engulfed in mystery, and you didn't really know that much about her, but as the story progresses you're getting like this little snippets about her past, and it was really interesting. It was like she was like almost the Black Widow of the West, in my opinion, and I just really want to know more. So I hope that if she's going to continue writing splatter western, Kenzie, you should definitely expand on Clyde, because I want more of Clyde. Clyde was amazing. Yeah, so that's really what I would say. I definitely given this 4 out of 5 stars, because this is my first introduction of a splatter western, so I can't really go off on or compare it to other splatter westerns. So this one is a 4 out of 5. Definitely recommend it, and I will definitely be reading this one by Kenzie as well. It's called The Reception. It's about cannibalism, which I'm not fond of, to be honest, but I've heard so many great things about it, and I definitely want to read more from Kenzie, because I know she can bring out both the gore and the intrigue, and just her writing is fascinating. So if you enjoy that kind of stuff, like splatter westerns, or just gore, or just this mystique, I would definitely recommend. I think, well, even though this is my first book by her, I would definitely recommend anything by Kenzie Jennings. So I'm looking forward to reading more stuff about her. So yeah, this has been my review of The Red Station by Kenzie Jennings. And before we go, because I keep forgetting about this, I hate it. But you remember when I said in my first video that I was gonna introduce like these kind of pop quiz questions. Yeah, I failed on 2 videos on that now, so I'm trying to remedy that. So, in relation to westerns and splatter westerns, here's my pop quiz for this review, or like pop quiz of the week. I'm sure most of you have probably watched The Hateful Eight. But can you tell me what was Jennifer Jason Leigh's character's name? What was her name that she played in The Hateful Eight, and how did she die? So I don't know if you remember how she died. So if you remember what the name was of the character and how she died, definitely tell me in the comments, and then in the next video, which I probably will be posting on Friday. I'm reading another short story collection for Friday. I'll tell you the answer for that, and tell you, and probably hopefully come up with another pop quiz. But yeah, if you like my reviews, definitely like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope I will see you next time. See y'all!